The desert stretched endlessly under the blazing Australian sun when the metallic sphere crashed into the red earth with a sound like thunder. Dr. Maya Torres felt the ground shake beneath her feet as she stood 3 kilometers away at the research station. The seismic monitors went crazy for 30 seconds before falling silent again. Maya grabbed her radio and called the base. "This is Torres at Site 7. We just recorded a massive impact event. Sending coordinates now." Within 2 hours, helicopters filled the sky above the crash site. Commander Alex Reed jumped from the lead aircraft before it fully landed, his boots hitting the sand with purpose. He had seen many strange things in his 20 years of military service, but nothing like the perfectly smooth sphere sitting in the crater. The object was huge, maybe 30 meters across, and made of some kind of metal that seemed to shift colors in the sunlight. It hummed with a low frequency that made everyone's teeth ache. The electronic equipment the teams brought started acting strange the moment they got within a kilometer of the thing. "Sir, the radiation detectors are going wild," Sergeant Tim Brooks reported, holding up a device that beeped frantically. "But the readings make no sense. It's like the machine doesn't know what it's detecting." Maya arrived with her team of scientists just as the sun began to set. She studied the sphere through binoculars from the safe zone they had established. The surface was covered in symbols that seemed to glow faintly in the growing darkness. "It's not natural," she told Alex as they stood beside the command tent. "The metal composition is impossible according to everything we know about physics. And those symbols, they're definitely artificial." Over the next 3 days, teams worked around the clock to understand the mysterious object. Dr. Priya Desai, the world's leading expert in ancient languages, flew in from London to study the symbols. She set up her equipment in a trailer and began the painstaking work of translation. "The symbols follow a mathematical pattern," Priya explained during the daily briefing. "But they're not like any writing system I've ever seen. They seem to contain multiple layers of meaning." The breakthrough came on the 4th day. Maya was reviewing the energy readings when she noticed something disturbing. The sphere's internal activity was increasing. Whatever was inside was becoming more active. "Alex, you need to see this," she called him over to her laptop. The screen showed a graph with a steadily climbing line. "The energy output has doubled in the past 6 hours." Alex studied the data with growing concern. "What does that mean?" "I think it means the sphere is waking up." As if responding to her words, the sphere's humming grew louder. The symbols on its surface began to pulse with bright blue light. Electronic devices within 2 kilometers started failing completely. Priya burst into the command tent, her face pale with fear. "I've cracked the main message," she announced, her voice shaking. "It's not good news." She pulled up her translation on the main screen. The words appeared in stark black text that made everyone in the tent fall silent. "Primitive species. Your expansion ends here, accept obliteration with dignity." The silence stretched for long seconds before Alex found his voice. "Are you certain about this translation?" "I've checked it 20 times, Priya replied. "But there's more. The symbols also contain technical specifications. This isn't just a message, it's a countdown." Maya felt her heart skip a beat. "A countdown to what?" "I don't know. But according to the mathematical progression in the symbols, we have less than 18 hours. The next few hours passed in a blur of frantic activity. The site was evacuated except for essential personnel. Military units surrounded the area at a safe distance. World leaders were briefed on the situation through secure channels. Maya refused to leave. She worked alongside a small team of volunteers, racing against time to understand what they were dealing with. The sphere's energy readings continued to climb steadily towards some unknown threshold. With 6 hours remaining, the first visual change occurred. Hairline cracks appeared on the sphere's surface, glowing with the same blue light as the symbols. The humming sound evolved into something almost musical, like a massive orchestra tuning their instruments. "It's beautiful," whispered Dr. Ben Clark, the engineer who had joined the team. "Whatever this thing is, it's incredibly sophisticated." "Alex," monitored the situation from the mobile command center, coordinating with military leaders around the world. Nuclear weapons were being positioned at strategic locations. Though everyone knew they would likely be useless against technology this advanced, the countdown reached 0 at exactly noon on the 7th day. Maya watched through protective goggles. As the sphere began to open like a flower blooming in fast motion, the metal petals spread outward, revealing a hollow interior filled with swirling energy, but there was no explosion. No destructive force unleashed upon the world. Instead, the sphere projected a three-dimensional image into the air above it. The image showed a star map with Earth clearly marked in the center. "It's a display," Maya breathed in wonder. "It's showing us something." The star map zoomed in on Earth, then pulled back to show the entire solar system. Red markers appeared at various points throughout the galaxy, connected by lines that suggested travel routes. At the edge of the map, a massive fleet of ships was clearly visible, all heading toward Earth. Priya worked frantically to translate the new symbols that appeared around the projection. "It's a tactical display," she announced. "This sphere, it's not a weapon, it's a reconnaissance probe." The implications hit Maya like a physical blow. They sent this to study us, to learn our capabilities before they attack. Alex's radio crackled with reports from around the world. Similar spheres had been detected in orbit, hidden among Earth's satellites. The probe in Australia had been a test run, designed to see how quickly humans could respond to an unknown threat. The projection changed, showing detailed scans of Earth's military installations, population centers, and technological capabilities. The beings who sent the probe, calling themselves the Dominion, had been watching humanity for decades. They knew everything about Earth's defenses. As the sun set on the 7th day, the sphere's final message appeared in the air above it. This time, the symbols were accompanied by images that needed no translation. They showed Earth burning, its cities reduced to ash, its people scattered and broken, but Maya noticed something the aliens had missed. In their detailed study of human technology, they had focused only on weapons and defenses. They had ignored humanity's greatest strength: the ability to adapt, to learn, and to turn any challenge into an opportunity. She looked at the alien probe with new eyes. It wasn't just a scout sent to study Earth, it was a gift. A chance to understand the enemy's technology before they arrived in force. "Alex," she called over the radio, "we need to move this thing to a secure facility. We have work to do." The sphere continued to hum in the darkness, its job complete. But its creators had made one crucial error. They had assumed that showing humanity the approaching threat would cause panic and surrender. Instead, they had given Earth's greatest minds exactly what they needed to turn the tide of the coming war. 3 months had passed since the sphere revealed its terrible message. Deep beneath the Nevada desert, in a facility that officially did not exist, the greatest minds on Earth worked around the clock to understand the alien technology. Maya Torres stood in the main laboratory, watching as teams of scientists and engineers swarmed over the disassembled probe. The sphere had been carefully taken apart, each component studied and catalogued. What they discovered changed everything they thought they knew about physics. "The power source is incredible," Dr. Yuki Tanaka explained as she led Maya through the analysis lab. "It draws energy directly from planetary magnetic fields, but the way it does it, it's so inefficient. They're using raw power to brute force their way through problems that could be solved with elegant solutions." Maya studied the crystalline core that powered the alien device. It pulsed with a steady rhythm like a heartbeat. "What do you mean by inefficient?" "Look at this." Yuki pulled up a holographic display showing the energy flow through the device. "They're converting magnetic energy to matter at a rate that wastes 90% of the input. We could do the same thing with 10% of the power if we redesigned the conversion matrix." Across the facility, Colonel Maria Santos coordinated the largest military mobilization in human history. Every nation on Earth had contributed resources to what they called the Unity Project. Factories that once made cars now produced spacecraft. Components. Computer facilities that once mined cryptocurrency now ran combat simulations. The timeline is our biggest challenge, Maria explained during the daily briefing. Based on the probe's data, the Dominion fleet will arrive in 18 months. That's not enough time to build a conventional defense. Dr. Ben Clark stood at a workbench covered in alien components. His team had been working on reverse engineering the probe's communication system. The good news is that their technology is surprisingly simple once you understand the principles. It's like they never learned to think creatively about problems. Maya joined him at the workbench. The communication array was a thing of beauty, all smooth curves and glowing crystals. But when she looked at the internal structure, she could see what Ben meant. The design was straightforward, almost crude in its simplicity. They build things like machines, Ben continued, adjusting a scanner to examine the array's core. Everything follows rigid patterns. There's no improvisation, no adaptation. It's powerful, but it's not smart. This observation sparked an idea in Maya's mind. She called together the project's lead scientists for an emergency meeting. In the main conference room, surrounded by screens showing alien technology, she presented her theory. What if we're approaching this wrong? She began. We've been trying to build better weapons, stronger defenses. But what if the key is not to fight them, but to confuse them? Dr. Priya Desai looked up from her translation work. What do you mean? Think about it. The Dominion has studied us for decades, but they've only looked at our military capabilities. They haven't studied our culture, our creativity, our ability to think outside established patterns. Yuki nodded slowly. You're suggesting we use their own rigidity against them. Exactly. Their technology is powerful but predictable. What if we could make it unpredictable? Ben's eyes lit up with understanding. We could modify the probe systems. Turn it into something they wouldn't expect. The idea that emerged from that meeting was ambitious beyond anything humanity had ever attempted. They would take the alien probe and transform it into something completely new. Not just a weapon, but a messenger that would carry humanity's unique approach to problem-solving directly to the enemy. Over the following weeks, the project took shape. The probe's power source was enhanced using human engineering principles. Instead of wasteful brute force, the new design used elegant feedback loops that amplified efficiency by a factor of 10. The communication array was rebuilt from the ground up. Where the original sent simple data packets, the new version could interface with any technology it encountered. It could learn, adapt, and improve systems in real time. Maya spent long hours in the fabrication lab, watching as human and alien technologies merged in ways that should have been impossible. The probe's smooth metal skin was replaced with adaptive materials that could change properties based on need. Its rigid internal structure gave way to flowing organic designs that maximized efficiency. It's like we're teaching it to be human, she told Alex during one of his visits to the facility. The commander had been promoted to general, and now coordinated the global defense effort. Alex studied the transformed probe with amazement. What exactly will it do when it reaches them? That's the beautiful part, Maya replied. We're not entirely sure. The device is designed to adapt and learn. It will analyze their technology and find ways to improve it. But those improvements will be based on human principles of creativity and flexibility. The software team, led by Dr. Lisa Park, had created an artificial intelligence unlike anything that existed before. Instead of following rigid programming, the AI was designed to learn from failure and find creative solutions to unexpected problems. Most AI systems are designed to avoid mistakes, Lisa explained during a demonstration. Our AI is designed to make mistakes, learn from them, and become stronger. It's the most human thing we've ever created. The transformed probe was no longer just a reconnaissance device. It had become a mobile research platform, capable of interfacing with any technology it encountered. But more importantly, it carried within its crystalline core the essence of human ingenuity. As the project neared completion, Maya stood in the observation deck overlooking the main assembly bay. The probe had been rebuilt as a sleek spacecraft, its hull gleaming with an inner light. It was beautiful in a way that the original had never been. Captain Tom Walsh, selected to pilot the mission, joined her at the observation window. It's Hard to believe we built this from an alien weapon, he said. We didn't just build it, Maya replied. We evolved it. We took their rigid thinking and gave it the ability to dream. The launch was scheduled for the following month. The probe would be carried to the edge of the solar system by a ship built using combined human and alien technology. From there, it would travel to the Dominion homeworld, carrying with it a message that the aliens would never expect, but the message wasn't written in words or symbols. It was encoded in the very fabric of the device itself. Every circuit, every component, every line of code reflected humanity's greatest strength, the ability to take any challenge and transform it into an opportunity. As Maya watched the final preparations, she thought about the aliens who had sent the original probe. They had intended to study humanity's weaknesses. Instead, they had given Earth's greatest minds the tools they needed to show the galaxy what humans could achieve when they put their minds to it. The Dominion had sent a bomb to Earth, expecting fear and surrender. They were about to receive something far more dangerous, a demonstration of human creativity that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The converted probe sat in the center of the assembly bay like a jewel of impossible beauty. Maya Torres walked around it slowly, marveling at what human ingenuity had accomplished in just 6 months. The device that had once been a simple reconnaissance tool was now something entirely new. Dr. Yuki Tanaka ran her hands along the probe's smooth surface, feeling the subtle vibrations of the power core within. The energy efficiency is beyond what we ever thought possible, she said with wonder in her voice. We're generating more power than the original design while using 60% less input. The transformation had been a collaborative effort involving every nation on Earth. Japanese engineers had contributed precision manufacturing techniques that allowed components to be built to tolerances measured in single atoms. German factories had developed new alloys that combined human metallurgy with alien materials. American computer scientists had created processing systems that could adapt their own architecture in real time. Maya paused beside the communication array, now a flowing sculpture of crystal and metal that pulsed with inner light. Dr. Park, how is the AI integration progressing? Dr. Lisa Park looked up from her workstation, her eyes bright with excitement. The AI has exceeded all our expectations. It's not just learning from our databases anymore. It's creating new knowledge by combining human and alien concepts in ways neither species had considered. The AI system was perhaps the most revolutionary aspect of the project. Where alien technology relied on rigid programming and predetermined responses, the human AI was designed to be curious, creative, and adaptive. It could analyze any system. It encountered and find ways to improve it through innovation rather than brute force. Captain Tom Walsh spent his days learning to interface with the transformed probe. The ship that would carry it to the Dominion homeworld was itself a marvel of combined engineering. It used alien propulsion systems enhanced with human safety features and tactical capabilities. The navigation computer is incredible, Tom reported during the daily briefing. It doesn't just calculate the fastest route. It considers variables like stellar weather, gravitational anomalies, and even the possibility of encountering other spacecraft. It thinks like a human pilot. Colonel Maria Santos coordinated the massive support network that had grown around the project. Manufacturing facilities on 6 continents worked in perfect synchronization to produce components that would have been impossible for any single nation to create alone. The logistics are staggering, Maria explained to the assembled team leaders. We're combining technologies from 47 different countries, integrating them into a single system that has never been tested in actual use. But somehow it's working. The probe's new capabilities extended far beyond its original function. The power system could now interface with any energy source it encountered, learning to optimize and improve efficiency. The communication array could establish contact with any technology, regardless of its origin or design principles. But the most significant addition was the manufacturing capability. The probe could now analyze any material or device it encountered and create improved versions using principles of human engineering. It carried with it the complete technological history of Earth, from the first stone tools to the most advanced quantum computers. Dr. Ben Clark worked on the probe's adaptation systems, which allowed it to modify its own structure based on need. "It's like giving evolution the ability to think," he explained to Maya. "The probe can redesign itself to meet any challenge, but it will always do so using human principles of creativity and efficiency." The software that controlled these systems was unlike anything that had existed before. Lisa Park had created an artificial intelligence that could learn not just from data, but from experience. It could make mistakes, analyze its failures, and develop entirely new approaches to problem solving. "Traditional AI systems are designed to be perfect," Lisa explained. "Our AI is designed to be human. It embraces uncertainty, learns from failure, and finds creative solutions to impossible problems." As the launch date approached, Maya found herself spending more time in the observation deck, watching the final preparations. The probe had been integrated into its carrier ship, a sleek vessel that combined the best of human and alien technology. The ship's hull was made from materials that could adapt to any environment, while its internal systems were designed for maximum efficiency and flexibility. Tom Walsh ran through final system checks with his small crew. The mission required only 3 people, a pilot, a communications officer, and a systems engineer. Each had been trained to interface with the probe's AI, creating a symbiotic relationship between human intuition and artificial intelligence. "All systems are showing optimal performance," reported systems engineer Rachel Kim. "The probe is ready for deployment." Communications officer David Chun monitored the quantum communication array that would maintain contact with Earth throughout the mission. "The transmission systems are operating at peak efficiency. We'll have real-time communication with the home base until we reach the Dominion homeworld." Maya joined the crew for the final briefing. The mission was simple in concept but revolutionary in execution. They would travel to the Dominion homeworld and deploy the probe, allowing it to interface with alien technology and demonstrate human principles of innovation and adaptation. "Remember," Maya told the crew, "this isn't just about returning their probe. It's about showing them what humanity represents. We're not just defending our planet. We're introducing a new way of thinking to the galaxy." The launch took place on a clear morning in the Nevada desert. The ship lifted off silently, its alien propulsion system creating no sound or visible exhaust. It simply rose into the sky like a star returning to its place among the heavens. Maya watched through telescopes as the ship disappeared into the darkness of space. Inside its hull, the transformed probe hummed with quiet power, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of 7 billion people. But more than that, it carried the essence of human creativity itself. The probe's AI had been programmed with the complete cultural history of Earth. It understood not just human technology, but human art, music, literature, and philosophy. It knew why humans created beauty alongside utility, why they valued freedom alongside security, why they chose cooperation over domination. As the ship headed toward its destination, Maya returned to the laboratory. There was still work to be done, systems to monitor, and data to analyze. But she knew that humanity had already won its greatest victory. They had taken an alien weapon designed to study their weaknesses and transformed it into a demonstration of their greatest strength. The Dominion had sent a bomb to Earth, expecting to find a primitive species ready for conquest. Instead, they had given humanity the tools to show the galaxy what it meant to be human. The probe now carrying their message to the stars was no longer an alien device. It was a work of art, a poem written in metal and crystal, a song of human ingenuity that would echo across the cosmos. In 6 months, when the probe reached the Dominion homeworld, it would not bring destruction or surrender. It would bring something far more powerful, the possibility of transformation, the gift of creative thinking, and the promise that even the most rigid systems could learn to dream. The human ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Dominion home system, its sensors immediately detecting the massive fleet assembled in space. Captain Tom Walsh studied the tactical display with a mixture of awe and determination. Thousands of alien vessels filled the void between planets, their hulls gleaming with the same cold metal as the original probe. "Communications, open a channel to the lead vessel," Tom ordered. His voice was steady despite the magnitude of what they faced. The Dominion fleet was larger than anything Earth's military planners had imagined. David Chun worked at his console. The quantum communication array reaching out across space. "Channel open, Captain." They're responding. The main screen flickered to life, showing the bridge of the Dominion flagship. Admiral Korth stood at the center, his tall frame encased in elaborate armor that seemed to shift and flow like liquid. Metal, his face was angular, with deep-set eyes that burned with intelligence and arrogance. "Human vessel," Admiral Korth's voice resonated through the ship's speakers. "You have traveled far from your primitive world. We assume you have come to negotiate the terms of your surrender." Tom stood straighter, drawing on months of preparation for this moment. "Admiral Korth, we have not come to surrender. We have come to return your property." The alien admiral's expression shifted to one of confusion. "Return our property? What property do you speak of?" "Your reconnaissance probe," Tom replied. "The one you sent to study Earth? We've made some improvements to it." Behind Tom, systems engineer Rachel Kim monitored the probe's status. The device rested in the ship's cargo bay, its crystalline core pulsing with barely contained energy. The AI systems were fully active, analyzing every sensor reading from the Dominion fleet. "Impossible," Admiral Korth snarled. "Your species lacks the technology to interface with our systems. You are primitive creatures barely capable of space travel." Tom smiled, an expression that seemed to unnerve the alien commander. "That's what we thought too until we started studying your probe. We learned a lot about your technology, Admiral. More than you might expect." The probe's AI had been quietly working since their arrival in the system. It had identified the communication frequencies used by the Dominion fleet and was already beginning to establish contact with individual ships. The process was subtle, almost invisible, but it was happening with increasing speed. Rachel watched her displays with growing excitement. "Captain, the probe is interfacing with their systems. It's happening faster than we anticipated." On the main screen, Admiral Korth gestured to his crew. "Prepare boarding parties. We will take their vessel and reclaim our technology." "I wouldn't do that if I were you," Tom said calmly. "Your probe is about to activate." The probe's deployment was unlike anything the Dominion had ever encountered. Instead of the violent explosion they expected, the device simply materialized in space between the human ship and the alien fleet. It hung there like a small star, its surface glowing with soft light. Admiral Korth stared at the probe in amazement. "What have you done to it?" "We've given it the ability to learn," Tom replied, "and it's very curious about your technology." The probe began to emit a complex series of energy pulses, each one tuned to interface with different aspects of Dominion technology. The signals spread throughout the fleet like ripples in a pond, touching every ship, every computer system, every piece of equipment. "What is happening?" Admiral Korth demanded as alarm signals began sounding on his bridge. "Your probe is doing what it was designed to do," Tom explained. "It's analyzing your technology and making improvements. But now it's using human principles of innovation instead of your rigid programming." The effects became visible within minutes. The Dominion ships began to change, their hulls flowing and reshaping as the probe's improvements took effect. Weapons systems became more efficient, shield generators more adaptive, propulsion systems more elegant, but the changes went deeper than mere technology. The probe's AI was introducing human concepts of creativity and flexibility into the Dominion's rigid command structure. Ships that had always followed orders without question began to contribute ideas and suggestions. "Admiral," reported Dominion. "Officer," his voice filled with confusion. "The fleet's AI systems are behaving strangely. They're asking questions, making suggestions, proposing modifications to our tactical plans." Admiral Korth watched in horror as his perfectly ordered fleet began to think for itself. "Shut down all AI systems immediately." "We cannot, Admiral. The human probe has integrated itself into our networks." Any attempt to shut down the AI systems would disable our ships entirely. On Earth, Maya Torres monitored the mission through the quantum communication link. The probe was transmitting a constant stream of data, showing exactly how it was interfacing with Dominion technology. The results exceeded her wildest hopes. "The efficiency improvements are incredible," she reported to the assembled team. "The probe is increasing their energy output by 300% while reducing waste by 90%. Dr. Lisa Park watched the AI integration with fascination. "It's not just improving their technology. It's teaching their systems to think creatively. Every ship in their fleet is becoming a research platform." The transformation of the Dominion fleet continued for hours. Admiral Korth watched helplessly as his ships became more efficient, more adaptive, more intelligent. But with each improvement, the rigid hierarchy that held his empire together began to crack. "Captain Walsh," Admiral Korth finally said, his voice heavy with resignation, "what do you want from us?" Tom considered the question carefully. "We want you to understand that there's more than one way to solve problems. Your empire has grown through conquest and domination. We're showing you that growth can come through cooperation and creativity." The probe's final act was to transmit a message directly to every Dominion ship in the fleet. The message was not written in words or symbols, but encoded in the very improvements it had made to their technology. It was a demonstration of human principles, the value of diversity, the strength found in flexibility, the power of creative thinking. "Your probe has given us a gift," Admiral Korth said slowly. "But it has also destroyed the foundation of our empire. How can we maintain order when every ship thinks for itself?" "You don't maintain order," Tom replied. "You encourage growth. You let each ship contribute its unique perspective to the whole. You discover that cooperation is more powerful than control." The Dominion fleet that had been assembled to conquer Earth was transformed into something entirely new. Ships that had been identical copies of rigid design now showed individual modifications and improvements. The probe's AI had taught them to adapt, to experiment, to dream. Admiral Korth looked older as he spoke again. "The invasion fleet. We cannot proceed with our plans. Our ships are no longer weapons of conquest. They have become tools of exploration and discovery." "Then our mission is complete," Tom said with satisfaction. "We're returning to Earth now. But we hope this won't be the last time our species communicate." As the human ship prepared to depart, Rachel Kim monitored the probe's final status. The device had expended most of its energy in the transformation process, but it had accomplished something remarkable. It had introduced an entire galactic empire to the concept of creative thinking. "The probe is going dormant," she reported. "But it's left permanent changes in their systems. Every ship in that fleet now has the ability to learn, adapt, and innovate." Tom nodded with satisfaction. "Then we've done what we came to do. We've shown them that humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology or our military might. It's our ability to see possibilities where others see only problems." The human ship began its journey back to Earth, leaving behind a transformed enemy fleet. The Dominion had sent a bomb to study humanity's weaknesses, but they had received something far more valuable, a demonstration of humanity's greatest strength. In the months that followed, the effects of the probe's transformation rippled throughout the Dominion Empire. Ships began to work together instead of simply following orders. New technologies emerged from the combination of different perspectives. The rigid caste system that had defined their society for millennia began to evolve into something more flexible and creative. Admiral Korth, now calling himself simply Korth, found himself leading not an invasion fleet but a voyage of discovery. The ships under his command were no longer identical copies of imperial design. They were unique expressions of creative engineering, each one contributing its own innovations to the whole. The bomb had been returned, but it had been transformed into something the Dominion had never imagined, a gift of infinite possibility. 6 months after the probe's deployment, Maya Torres stood in the observation deck of humanity's first joint research station with beings from another star system. The station hung in space at the edge of the solar system, a magnificent structure. that represented the marriage of human creativity and Dominion engineering. Through the transparent walls, she could see ships from both species working together on construction projects that would have been impossible for either civilization alone. Human vessels with their flowing organic designs moved alongside Dominion ships that had been transformed by the probe's influence into unique works of art. "Dr. Torres," a familiar voice called from behind her. She turned to see Korth approaching, his appearance much changed from their first meeting. The rigid armor had been replaced by a more practical outfit, and his bearing had softened from imperial arrogance to curious intelligence. "Korth," Maya replied with a warm smile, "how are the integration tests progressing?" "Better than we hoped," he replied, his voice carrying notes of wonder that would have been impossible in the old Dominion. "Your engineers have shown us 17 different ways to improve our fusion reactors. In return, we have shared our knowledge of quantum field manipulation." The research station was the first fruit of an unprecedented collaboration. When Korth had arrived at Earth 3 months earlier, he had come not as a conqueror but as a student. The probe's transformation of his fleet had shown him possibilities he had never imagined. Dr. Yuki Tanaka joined them at the observation window, her latest research tablet in hand. "The energy efficiency improvements are remarkable," she reported. "By combining our approaches, we've created power systems that are 40% more efficient than anything either species achieved alone." The collaboration had not been without challenges. The Dominion's rigid thinking patterns, ingrained over millennia of imperial rule, did not change overnight. Many of their people struggled with the concept of creative problem-solving, finding it difficult to think beyond established procedures, but the probe's AI had planted seeds of change throughout their technology. Every ship, every computer system, every piece of equipment now carried within it the capacity for adaptation and innovation. The transformation was slow but inevitable. Dr. Ben Clark emerged from the engineering section, his face bright with excitement. "Maya, you need to see this. The joint team has just completed the prototype for the new communication system." They followed him to the main laboratory, where human and Dominion engineers worked side by side on a device that seemed to pulse with living light. The communication array combined the best of both technologies, creating something that transcended the limitations of either approach. "It's beautiful," Maya breathed, studying the flowing crystalline structure. "What can it do?" "It can establish instantaneous communication across any distance," explained Dr. Lisa Park, who had been working with a team of Dominion AI specialists. "But more than that, it can translate not just languages, but entire ways of thinking." The device represented something unprecedented in galactic history. Previous communications between species had been limited by the fundamental differences in how they processed information. The new system could bridge those gaps, allowing true understanding between beings who had evolved under different stars. Dr. Tom Walsh had been appointed as the first human ambassador to the galactic community, a position that would have been unthinkable before the probe's mission. He spent his days working with representatives from dozens of species, learning about the vast diversity of life in the galaxy. The Dominion weren't the only ones who relied on rigid thinking, Tom explained during one of their regular briefings. "Many species have fallen into patterns of behavior that limit their growth, but word of what happened here is spreading. Other civilizations are asking for our help." The probe's influence had spread far beyond the original Dominion fleet. Ships that had been transformed by its touch carried the seeds of change to other star systems. The concept of creative problem-solving, so natural to humans, was revolutionary to species that had never considered alternatives to their established ways. Maya found herself at the center of a growing network of collaboration. Scientists from dozens of worlds came to study human approaches to innovation. In return, they shared knowledge that expanded humanity's understanding of the universe by orders of magnitude. The research station had become a hub of activity unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. In the biological labs, human researchers worked with Dominion scientists to develop new medical treatments. In the engineering sections, teams collaborated on propulsion systems that could travel between galaxies. In the communication centers, linguists and AI specialists worked together to create universal translation protocols. We're not just sharing technology, Maya explained to the assembled research teams. We're sharing ways of thinking. Every breakthrough we make together is stronger than what either species could achieve alone. The children were perhaps the most remarkable result of the collaboration. Young humans and Dominion offspring played together in the station's recreation areas, their natural curiosity creating bonds that transcended species barriers. They learned from each other in ways that amazed their parents, developing hybrid approaches to problem-solving that neither species had ever conceived. Dr. Priya Desai had established a school aboard the station where children from both species learn together. They don't see the differences that divide their parents, she observed. To them, having 4 arms or 2, breathing nitrogen or oxygen, these are just interesting variations. They focus on what they can learn from each other. The transformation of the Dominion continued to accelerate. The empire that had once been held together by rigid hierarchy was evolving into a loose confederation of independent worlds, each contributing its unique perspective to the whole. The probe's gift of creative thinking had spread throughout their civilization. Like wildfire, Korth had become something unprecedented in Dominion history, a leader who encouraged dissent and innovation. His flagship, once a monument to imperial power, had been transformed into a mobile research platform. His crew worked not as subordinates following orders, but as colleagues collaborating on projects that benefited all. The old ways seemed so limited now, Korth reflected during one of their conversations. We spent millennia conquering worlds, forcing other species to conform to our vision. We never realized that diversity was a source of strength, not weakness. The station's central communication array broadcast a new message to the galaxy, jointly, authored by human and Dominion scientists. The message was simple but revolutionary. To all civilizations, we have learned that true strength comes not from the power to destroy, but from the wisdom to transform. The cosmos is vast enough for all of us to grow together. Maya stood in the observation deck as the message was transmitted, watching as ships from a dozen different species approached the station. Each one carried beings who had heard about the transformation and wanted to learn more about human approaches to innovation and creativity. It's spreading faster than we ever imagined, she said to Tom, who had joined her to watch the arriving ships. Species that have been isolated for thousands of years are reaching out to make contact. Tom nodded, his expression filled with wonder. The probe didn't just transform the Dominion. It started a revolution in how the galaxy thinks about cooperation and growth. In the months that followed, the research station became the nucleus of a new galactic civilization. Instead of empires built on conquest and domination, voluntary associations of worlds formed around shared interests and complementary abilities. The rigid boundaries that had divided species for millennia began to dissolve. The probe itself had long since exhausted its energy and gone dormant, but its influence continued to spread. Every ship, every computer system, every piece of technology that it had touched carried within it the capacity for creative thinking. The transformation was irreversible and self-sustaining. Maya often thought about the aliens who had sent the original probe to Earth. They had intended to study humanity's weaknesses before launching their invasion. Instead, they had given Earth's greatest minds the tools they needed to transform the galaxy. The final scene of this remarkable transformation took place in the station's main auditorium, where children from 17 different species performed a concert that combined musical traditions from across the galaxy. Their parents watched in wonder as young voices harmonized in ways that transcended the barriers of language and biology. As the concert ended, Maya looked out at the assembled audience and saw the future of the galaxy. Beings who had once been enemies now worked together as partners. Species that had never met before collaborated on projects that would benefit all. The rigid patterns that had limited growth for millennia had given way to creative cooperation. The bomb that had been sent to destroy humanity had become the foundation for a new age of exploration and discovery. The probe that had been meant to study Earth's weaknesses had instead revealed humanity's greatest strength, the ability to see possibilities where others saw only problems. In the end, the Dominion had sent Earth a message about the power of conquest and domination. Humanity had sent back a much more powerful message about the possibilities of cooperation and creativity. And that message would continue to echo throughout the galaxy for generations to come.